Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Nilanjana from People Matters, and we are back with another exciting session of our webcast in partnership with Some Total Systems on the topic gamification of learning and talent, not just a shiny toy. Gamification is one of the most effective ways to address engagement as well as help connect employees' actions to business outcomes, decrease absences and turnover, and lead to improved performance. This webcast will give us some of the answers to why is gamification important for learning, how is gamification going to accelerate your learning strategy, how can technology help you in engaging your employees while learning, what are some of the things that you need to remember while redesigning your learning roadmap to include gamification. To take us through this expert view, we have today with us Faraz Farshori, a senior solution architect, Some Total Systems. Faraz has more than 17 years of experience in the software product industry across myriads of roles such as solution architect, HCM, product designer, e-learner, content development manager, head of learning management, content management system, and UI UX graphics visual web designer. He has won many awards and seen immense success for his innovative solution development and teamwork across all his roles and responsibilities. We have saved time for you all to ask your questions at the end of this webcast. For those who are live, can simply post your questions at any time during the session in the comment section on the right side of the screen. We will try to respond to as many questions as time allows. Please make a note that during the session, we will also be taking some poll questions. We will be sharing the poll link in the chat section and request all of you to participate. We have an exciting topic to discuss in this webcast today. So without any further delay, let me invite Faraz to take over. Over to you, Faraz.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the nice introduction. We could have done a little shorter than that, but yes, thank you so much. I would now like to actually start by talking about the not so shiny toy, actually gamification. So let me share my screen and take you through this journey. All right. So we will actually start by giving you an introduction about what's really happening and why am I saying it's not just a shiny toy. It's not a buzzword anymore. It's a lot more than that. It's actually something which is defining how we engage and work with users. So our agenda today will be trends and research. We'll actually go through the engagement and gamification theory. Very important for us to actually define what theory we are actually following in order to create best practices. Why gamification matters to organizations and how Sum Total supports them in terms of onboarding, learner experience, points, levels, and badges. And we'll also give you some tips and best practices based on our experience with working with different customers and some really winning case studies. All right, so as you well know, organizations today face innumerable number of challenges when it comes to their workforce, and many of which used to be like considered soft skills or issues are now having a measurable impact on business performance. So you just cannot ignore them. But it's no secret, right? I mean, that employee engagement has risen to the surface as a leading issue for companies, with nearly 90% of executives rating it among their top challenges. Well, to address in the Deloitte's current HCM report, this lack of engagement is having a profound effect on employee productivity and profitability. Now, either you blame it on the entire gadgetry generation, or whether you blame it on the entire ecosystem. The information age is now an idea age, and so much is available at so little time. But no matter what, it's this dynamic landscapes which gives us the opportunity to service and provide the user what they really need. Now, before we begin, let's understand and get into a poll question. What do you think? How engaged are your employees? Highly engaged right now, moderately engaged, poorly engaged, or we don't know? Well, a definition of an engaged employee is basically one who is fully absorbed, immersed, and enthusiastic about the work. So they take good actions, optimistic actions to work towards the company's reputation and interest. An engaged employee has a very positive attitude towards the organization and actually inspires others around them. So do take your time to give us your feedback, and this will really help not only just us in People Matter and Sum Total, but everybody else around you, because we'll be actually sharing these results. Now, why engagement matters? Now, as per 2012 Gallup poll found that companies with excellent employee engagement had this. They had 25 to 65% less turnover issue. And then 147% better performance compared to others. And 37% fewer absences. Wow. Now, if that is not the most deciding factor right now for your organization's profitability and growth, then what else? A critical engagement opportunity. Now notice that 69% of the employees are actually more likely to stay with a company for 3 years if they experience great onboarding. Now that's a very important aspect of engagement. Because when you start them off on the right foot, their time for proficiency is also enhanced. They have better confidence in themselves and also in the organization, which really helps you, by the way, as a company. Because what you get out of it is happy employees, engaged employees. And 20% of employee turnover happens in the first 45 days. Whether you like it or not, those first 45 days are your golden period. Use them to actually create a brand out of your organization. Now, how to support engagement? Content curation and aggregation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, very important aspect. Aggregation, of course, is about collecting anything and everything in the market and putting together in a big basket. But curation is a very sophisticated way. It's a very, very, very beautiful skill where you actually provide it to the right person at the right time, on the right job, on the right role, and on the right device. That's very important. Because it's all about engagement doesn't just happen with aggregation. Aggregation takes somebody out on a wild goose chase, while content curation helps them find and really helps a hunter learner, one who hunts for content or good knowledge. He will really appreciate if you can curate it for him. Gamification and social. That's the buzzword today, and that's what we're going to talk about. And it's not just a buzzword or a shiny toy. I'm going to explain to you how. Highly engaging collaborative platforms. Artificial intelligence, immersive learning, virtual reality, augmented reality. Trust me, once you are in it or immersed in it, you won't get out of it. It's so proactive, it's so engaging, and it's so immersive. The experience of being able to be part of something, whether you are actually in a flight simulator or virtual flight simulator, or you are actually using the Google card to browse the Jurassic Park on your own, you will not get out of it. So it's all about that immersive learning. Career paths and personal development. Empowering current and future growth of employees. How many people in the world would actually wake up in the morning and say, today I want to hit my learning system or my talent system and do a great job? Even the best and the best won't have that scenario. Why? Because there is no context to why they are actually taking that training. The context is important. If you provide them the context that this is their career path, tied to the right skills and the right learning, they will definitely see that as a major driver in their career, and they will use learning and these talent tasks as one of the greatest drivers. So it's all about driving users using a career path. When it comes to the power of gamification, achievement-based learning, collaboration, productivity, experience are sought by over 50% of today's workforce. Now, what I mean is that 50% of the workers would want to work with an organization that uses gamification. If I do something, I need to be rewarded. That mindset is what we are working with. If I achieve something, I need to be seen. I don't want to actually get into a blind spot. If an organization is just not strategic enough, they will not think of me. This is the mindset which is now there in every worker's mindset. If they are not strategic enough to think about the benefit of to keep me engaged and motivated, then this organization is not sustainable. That's a very important statement which is going on in your worker's head right now. Work on that. Now, wherever possible, employee wellness is what you need to plan. Gamification and tools should be integrated with the suite. That's what Gartner says. Provide a common user experience, one single user experience, which should result in higher adoption. Information and other devices aimed at measuring engagement can be used to gauge the success of employee initiatives to help guide future organization changes. What I mean is very simple. Why do you think the digipad, natpad, and all the other devices failed while WhatsApp in your phone right now worked? Because WhatsApp provided what none other can. It just went and sat in your common experience. That's your common user experience, guys. That's where you reside. That's what you open. That's what you use. You're always there on it. Being able to take the experience back into your most loved device or interface or application is what is the power in your hand right now. If your user workers are already used to a certain amount of user experience, if they have certain expectations in a commonality, you need to work on that. Now, what is a gamification theory? Now, many times, classic reward systems can suffer from habituation. Like once the brain adjusts to a certain reward, the reward no longer has the same impact. It just loses its sheen, lessening the amount of motivation it gives the employee. How many of you would love to play the same level on Angry Bird or Candy Crush? No. You will just get like totally, it is just not the motivation factor. You would like to actually get on top of it. You would like to go to the next level. You would like to aspire, really go to higher grounds. Now, games can easily create a system of increasing levels of power and status as users progress through the levels. The brain is a continually reactivated at each new level of rewards. This theory is important. The brain actually just freshens up, resets itself at every new level of reward. So if you are not able to create different levels of reward, that's where you are actually not creating a journey for your people. There is no roadmap. There is nothing to look forward to. How do you wake up on a Sunday morning if you have a picnic or a great party coming up in a club versus on a Monday morning where you know that there is a file that needs to be sent and you are actually supposed to do it, which you has been procrastinating about. So the way you wake up to a reward is a different mentality. It's a completely different zone that you're in. So gamification rewards and achievements activate reward pathways in the system and creating change in the brain. Driven by an explosion of social media usage, mobile revolution, the rise of big data and emergence of variable computing. Rewards, not really mandatory. Don't worry about it. I'm not just telling you to give away all your money out there. Most valued rewards are driven by rank and reputation. Money is going to come. People do understand that. It's very important that all of us understand and that our workers, of course, get motivated if they get a raise. But more than that, there is a bigger thing that will come. A raise is going to happen and help them get through their basics and even their luxuries. But then they actually wake up as a personality. They wake up as one individual. That individual has to have a reputation and rank. And it's not just about baby boomers or people above 40 or 50 that they need to actually look at reputation and respect and all those things. The millennials that are joining are talking about opportunity to grow and have that level of, career path and reputation. So you are basically talking to Generation A, which is all combined together, looking at a rank and reputation system combined with a better engaging strategic company who looks at them as somebody who needs to be engaged and motivated. The key aspects of gamification would be giving very fast feedback, transparency, goals, badges, leveling up, onboarding, a proper onboarding system with, taking them to a journey of what they can achieve in an organization by going through different steps, collaborative, community-based, and point-based. What is the difference in the game theory? So if you look at old versus new games, what do you think is different? But if you look at these nice little pictures here, the Super Mario versus the Angry Bird, the old video games rewarded you at the end of a level. So you have to finish something, like you have to really go forward and finish that level and go through the pain, go through the misery and all these anguish and anxiety, and then you get something out of it at the end of the game, right? But the new mobile phone games constantly reward you because they want to motivate you to keep playing. How different are we right now? Do you see that? We have become different people. We are in a different zone. We need to be constantly pampered to cross that level, which we used to do with all the misery in the game. The way we look at things, the way we experience, and the way we look at ourselves has changed dramatically. Quick rewards in early stages, easy at first, increasingly more challenging. They actually are scalar technique. They increase in the complexity. Continually adding new levels, encouraging people to play continuously so they don't just close and go away. Games are a very good ground for you to understand how user experience has to be. A greater challenge and is a greater engagement. If the challenge is not great, it's mundane, then you actually have extremely well set amount of people who wouldn't actually even look at your game. And positive addiction, being able to use that level of behavior where you are actually getting the employee engaged or the user engaged to do more or be part of that particular zone is very important. But the original gamification or the traditional way of how gamification learning was just a certificate of completion. Oh, great, you've completed and this is it. This is the old game. At the end of your learning activity, get a certificate of completion. It's up to us now to not think of gamification as a shiny toy, and I hope it's something which is really going to make serious business work. Now, how do we use gamification everywhere? Learning, get recognized and rewarded for doing training early or taking optional or recommended courses, or even just out of the blue, being very proactive and finding something beyond recommendation and taking that course from the catalog, which you feel is important to you in self-development. Because notice one more important thing. I mean, these days, how many of us actually, go beyond and spend a weekend developing ourselves or training ourselves as a continuous education, as part of our continuous training or adult continuous training? We don't. I mean, normally we don't. And being able to motivate somebody to actually self-develop themselves by giving them higher points is actually a great noble way of creating proper knowledge communities around us. Performance management. Well, encourage timely completion of performance reviews or ongoing provisions of feedback on professional accomplishments. Give them good feedback if they are able to actually finish things before time. Recruiting. Incentivize the employees' referrals and keep recruits engaged in the employment process, because you have to find that purple squirrel, right? How do you do that? Because the level of engagement on a recruiting or a career portal is much more defining than any other engagement system that you talk about. Your employees will anyways come back if it's mandatory and they will rush and then finish it. But your candidate, wow, he needs to be really engaged. He needs to really immediately see that this particular company is having a user experience on the career portal, which is very seamless, very easy to submit, track, and there are no blind spot, which means you are able to share with the employee where he is in the complete recruitment cycle. Don't keep them on the blind spot. Engagement is at user interface level and also at the experience beyond the interface. Time and attendance. Reward good attendance patterns where they have no negative occurrences. So there are occurrences where are actually positive and they are actually very consistent. Reward them in workforce management, time and attendance schedules as well. General collaboration. This is definitely a plus and very critical. Most of us would actually take learning and get rewarded. But then how many of you will be able to share that learning in a social forum and drive goodness, drive, basically sharing is caring, right? So you share and you actually allow other peers and team members to be part of it, to actually benefit from it. You need to reward this person. You really need to think about this person who is actually going and extending his time to share something to his peers so that they can benefit from that particular learning. Very important. So gamification is not just at learning level, but also at the social community level as well. Whole question, my favorite part. There'll be a URL on your screen and on your chat window, and you should actually be talking about the most important aspect. I might be wrong, but are you using gamification already? Yes. Online, manual, well integrated. Maybe you have a system in place. Maybe it's not automated, but you're actually doing it in one way or the other. No, but you're considering it, or we are not yet considering it. And if not, I really would love to have a dialogue with you, because for a sustainable organization in people business, in business, has to work towards engaging employees. Let's look at some case studies. The value of engagement when it comes to one of our customers, which is Fallon Health. So they actually had a challenge. They were using paper-based reward system and for optional classroom training, workshops and training, but didn't cover online training. So they had to use, they were completely plateaued or siloed. So solution, the growth edition that we actually have, we actually replaced paper-based record keeping and added 400 plus hours of independent training from Skillsoft. Branded it as a university, number one, so that the whole perspective of your users change, because now they are looking at it as a learning center. To further highlight the importance of continuous education, added ability to get university points for more actions, such as completing performance evaluations or actually getting into new levels or rewards. Time to complete reduced by 50%, just by adding this entire action for performance-based rewards. And the next highlight is bigger. Look at that graph climb up. This is substantial growth. Or if I use the right word in the dictionary, exponential growth. Being able to jump from a 0 to a 5% up. This is huge in terms of after implementing a particular system. And this is what Fallon Health has actually presented to us about the value of engagement, which they were able to realize more directly. And then the value of engagement for Deloitte. Challenge, no structured way of encourage executives to start and complete leadership onboarding. Solution, a gamified learning environment, badges, leaderboards, and challenges. Result, time to complete reduced by 50%. Again, an amazing success story. Now, how SumTotal supports engagement and gamification? Let's understand. Now, SumTotal Talent Expansion Suite is not just a learning management system. SumTotal Talent Suite is a complete hire to retire, which means you have a learning management system with curated content, an end-to-end solution, a modern UX with social learning, with mobile, with gamification, and talent and workforce management. By the way, SumTotal gamification is only suite or any only powerful application in the world who actually does the entire learn plus talent management and social all together as part of gamification. Now, built on the core platform, a foundation for bringing together critical learning, talent, and workforce insights in one intuitive and interactive place. Now, core platform includes a rich profile, insights, recommendations, analytics, and reporting. The suite also has a talent solution, which includes recruiting, performance, feedback, succession, compensation, and onboarding. And that helps you actually manage and grow your capabilities of the people. When it comes to the SumTotal Learn, it goes beyond learning and elevates your workforce. Now, meet a full range of learning delivery, which no other system in the world can actually boast of, and incorporate the latest learning innovation, whether it is classroom training, blended, tin can, or experience API, intelligent algorithm-based learning recommendations like Amazon, bite-sized learning activities to really engage the employees, curated content, informal and external learning, virtual classroom, certification with mobile apps supporting offline and online. And also in the roadmap, or something which is really going to be powerful, is the crowdsourced learning. So you can allow your learners to actually embrace sharing content like SMEs, immersive learning so that they can be part of a virtual training environment, and also learning labs which they can attach and practice different technologies. So very powerful in terms of how it delivers, because the learning and the development plan also, because it's learning is an ecosystem, it's centric. So delivering learning as part of performance feedback or assessment or succession 9 box or even development plan. Now, SumTotal delivers an unmatched connection to leading Skillsoft resources, so including one single place to browse, search for learning activities like books and videos as well. Enough said, let's get into a live demo of the SumTotal suite. All right, so here I am. I'm actually logged in as Vijaya Lakshmi. She's a business development lead, and she has got into an onboarding initiative. She's just joined the company, and she needs to be able to go through how many days are complete, how many days are required, available items, mandatory items, percentage complete. More like a game board, but it's actually an onboarding step, which means she has to actually go in and complete hiring of her onboarding journey by downloading forms and uploading them back, taking some recommended courses which have been assigned based on her job role immediately as per time, and even manage preferences. Go and look at the direction to office, look at her entire day one schedule, meet her mentor and mark this as complete. Being able to review and update her profile details and even her entire resume, because she's just joined the company. She needs to be able to actually get or reduce the time to proficiency. Now, using the gaming way of giving them step-by-step tasks with deadlines and also being able to motivate them to go through these steps is more about giving them a path or a journey which motivates them to actually go through this entire step-by-step process, rather than a paper-based step with email notifications, which just does not give them a complete view of what is going to happen next. So if they have that span of control in understanding how the onboarding starts, what is in between, and when it ends, this is where the time to proficiency is in their control, and you could monitor them as a supervisor in a much more efficient way. I hope this really makes sense. Looking at their assigned office and even going into their laptop and receiving it and marking it as complete. So all this is basically about giving them an onboarding journey. Now, more importantly, what really happens here? When an onboarding happens, you are actually getting into different initiatives. You are even looking at your job fitness. So you actually have provided some skills and techniques in terms of how you have actually appeared in the organization, what behaviors you demonstrate, and how you need to actually be a more complete business development lead by completing some training. So we also give you a career index on that. Development plan. More importantly, it's about understanding that how you are actually mapping up to a particular focus and developing yourself in this particular plan with how much is progress, how much is incomplete, how much is total. And then being able to jump into your career path and looking at the gaps that you need to fulfill as part of your job roles and as part of your entire roadmap of your career. So the system gives you the ability to aspire for career paths or roles, and also your admin will be able to assign a roadmap of what is your next role and what you need to actually accomplish as part of your skills and competencies and learning in order to be in that particular role. So you already have a roadmap in your organization showing you the future, which is brighter. How shiny is that? So here we are as an employee. We actually are now onboarded. So we have actually taken this entire journey, which was more like a game, and we were able to accomplish by going into our development plan, look at our job fit, being able to understand where we are in the career path, looking at different job roles. And then Vijay Lakshmi, I need to really switch gears and move on to this story, because we don't have that much time to wait for Vijay Lakshmi to transition into a full-time employee. So here I am. I've already transitioned. Vijay Lakshmi comes into her dashboard. Now this dashboard, I'm actually taking her into a employee where she's actually looking at different courses. She just sees a particular course and she clicks resume and launches it. Notice that the entire view of how she's actually watching this particular course or looking at it is like a Netflix carousel. So she's able to immediately understand what needs to be done and how she actually has to advance through it. Let me show you that particular board. So notice you have a carousel where you can actually browse the entire courses which are you have to resume. You can actually even look at or create your own playlist where you can look at different courses, ILT, online, even look at different courses and start or resume it. So the most important thing that will happen over here when it comes to content is the ability to view it seamlessly. So the experience is important. So you don't have to have multiple pop-ups opening when you're actually having third-party content launching. So this is the experience API content coming in from Skillsoft. But most importantly, it should not actually take me to a different site or create engagement on a different portion where I have to jump across and look at a different content. I need to be able to see everything in one seamless box. And I don't want to actually change my experience because imagine how WhatsApp did. So if you're actually browsing even YouTube videos, links, you were supposed to actually go to YouTube and browse it. But right now in WhatsApp, you're able to do it seamlessly inside the same chat window. That's user experience for you. Or even browse some video content right here seamlessly. Being able to change your bandwidth, have closed captioning, look at
environment where customers are well informed.
I'll have to switch off the audio. Look at how you want to adjust the autoplay or speed. So the control and empowerment is back to you. But more importantly, notice one important thing here. 46 seconds, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. So these are bite-sized videos. And you have the ability to actually resume this video from where you left. And each of these videos are not just ad hocly snipped or trashed. They are basically have an objective. Each video completes a topic. So these bite-sized videos are good if you want to actually finish a topic really and spend time in coming back to it later. You can always resume back. Or even take an assessment inside this entire content. And when you are actually finishing this training, you have the ability to actually look at your entire experience in terms of how the tracking is happening. So there's a lot of powerful tracking happening here, which means you are able to actually look forward to more sophisticated tracking, which helps understand user behavior. So we use the power of experience API to track different verbs, as we call it, like launch, satisfied, seeked, and all those things. You don't have to really show this to your employee or learner here. I'm just showing you that this kind of sophisticated tracking is happening, just like the Keanu Reeves Matrix movie. You have so much different things moving in, and that data is translated into meaningful information later in our reporting tool. Now, while we are at it, notice that Vijay Lakshmi has this level over here. What is this level saying? So as she actually completes some training or browses through it, she accumulates points. These are her total points. She is at this particular level. Ignore the title. You could actually configure it the way you want. Progress to the next level and even have different badges. Now, all of these badges, you could actually give them the name you want, give them the banner or image you want, or even the description. And you can even configure each and every point that is required. So you can create rule sets on how somebody gets a particular badge or cross a level or basically accumulate these learning points. And while she's at it, she also has the ability to look at a leaderboard, which means Vijayalakshmi actually looks at the total points, but also look at her level and badge and who is actually on the top leaderboard. And she is, by the way, in her peers or in her team. She's able to actually follow people and look at their point the level they are in, and what they are actually trying to achieve. This will actually go further, where we'll actually invest more time in understanding how we can give more benchmarking points where people can really, get a better best practice information from people they follow. As you actually follow people, they actually add up as buddies, and you can actually look at them and click and look at their progress across the entire gamification badges and levels point. Let's go back and look at our learner dashboard. Notice that you have, of course, your resume training and favorite list. So you can always click on this nice little heart button and add things to your favorite list. But then while you're at it, just like a Sunday night experience, while I was going through interest for digital soft skills, I have getting some recommendations over here. If I'm interested in digital transformation and blah, blah, blah. What does that mean? That means that if you've been actually using Netflix, and you probably would, you will notice that if you were watching Jessica Jones season 1, somebody will tell you that because you were interested in Jessica Jones, you should actually be watching Iron Fist. What? Iron Fist? But then that's an algorithm that works. It relates to what you've been watching and how you are actually, what kind of interest you have, and based on that interest, give you the recommendations. It can be a crazy algorithm, but somehow it actually tries to tailor to your behavior as close as possible. But in this case, you can also modify these behavior interest areas. So you can actually look at your job role and modify what interest areas you can actually choose from. For example, in this case, you may want to actually look at your C++ or get a CompTIA certification as an employee and click next. And based on these different topics, you also get subtopics which can be leveraged for someone to actually modify their interest areas and get a completely brand new recommendation based on their interest. So because I selected these different platforms, or virtual, or C++, or associate, or CompTIA, I'm actually getting a completely different interest-based recommendation. Pretty powerful. And engagement doesn't really reside over here, so you can actually even find training. Like while I'm talking, is about engagement, is also about using different techniques to actually give them a Google-like search or Facebook-like timeline over here of their entire training, and also giving them gamification-based techniques to actually motivate them. For example, I'm just going to start this document from my Facebook-like timeline. And I've gone through it, I'm reading it. And once I'm done with it, it'll ask me whether I'm completed or not. Yes, I feel like I've completed it. Now, the moment it finishes, the moment you actually complete certain training, you are actually getting into the zone of adding more points, or realizing more points in the system. And as you finish, notice that it gives you a message that you have leveled up to a pinnacle. So you're outstanding and you're at the top. So you are actually getting and up into a level. And if by chance you have actually accumulated points to earn a badge or done something very specific, you can also get a badge for it. So as you finish training, as you move forward, you are basically accommodating and tracking badges and leveling up. And as you move forward, you can even look at your level, and you've just started this level, which is the level pinnacle, and you've got these different badges, and they are total 316 points. Now, learning just doesn't happen only at the classroom level. There are other aspects of it. For example, in this case, social communities. Over here, you'll notice that people can also create a new community. They can actually, have an ad hoc community created. They can define what they want to discuss in the community. So it's no longer about push, it's also about pull. So if you actually give them the power to create communities and discuss and voice their concerns and actually share some productive things, that'll be an awesome way of really involving or engaging your employees. You, of course, have an ability to flag content and have a moderator who can delete content which you feel is irrelevant. or even do a profanity check. You have a ability to do a private or a hidden or even disable join request. Enable discussion boards, enable blogs, allow file uploads, and configure the gamification settings for the current community so you can enable gamification for this community also. Add users as you go. And while you're at it, you can always go back into your community and look at different discussions or look at files that you can share. So you can actually share files and people can actually download those files. And when when you're doing the discussions, you can actually look at different topics. You can like or unlike different things. You can reply to a particular blog post or a discussion forum. You can start a new discussion forum and earn a badge. So as and when you do different interactions, the system rewards you. It's not just at the end of completing a training and getting a certification. I hope you all remember the old versus new game theory. Thank you. So that's on the learner view. We'll spend some time to actually get into the understanding of how the gamification is configured. So we'll look into the administration view. So we'll go into a product administration and tell you that we are not just actually giving this to our programmers. And the whole idea is to be able to do configuration at your level. So first of all, enabling gamification as an administrator and enable gamification for activity-based communities or all communities. When I say activity-based, let's say you have actually created a blended learning classroom curriculum for all your new hires and immediately switch on the community, which means for that same name of the curriculum or a learning activity, you automatically get a community created in the social zone. And people who are already a registered audience or registered users for that particular curriculum, they automatically get added into that community. Then you have learn points. So you can add different rule sets or edit. For example, in this case, what rule sets? Learning awards is the rule set. Category is learning. And you can actually add completion date is less than the due date. Give them 5 points. Awesome. If the assignment type is required, give them 15 points. If the completion date is equals to due date, just give them 1 point. If assignment type is equals to recommended, 20 points. Because for example, if they are actually browsing or if they have completed a recommended content, they get 20 points. If they are actually taking a proactive assignment, which means that it was neither assigned, neither recommended, but they still took it, give them 37 points as of standing ovation. Or you can add a new rule set. The new rule set could be if the time required is equal to 30 minutes for any of your learning content, give them 2 points. Or if it is greater than or equal to 60 minutes. You basically create different points the way you want. Then not only learning, but you also have for talent. For example, if somebody has requested feedback, 10 points. If they provide feedback, which is performance feedback, give them 20 points. If they have actually a one-to-one journal, which is chatting with their peers, give them 5 points. Another rule set for 360 feedback. For this particular feedback, add a step, which is if the please approve SLDP raters for points before due date and points on due date, and you save it. As good as that. Or badges. You can create an own badge. For example, you can have a badge name, choose a badge banner, status active, what is the notification message when they receive it, create a rule set, which could be for learn, workforce, or in general, category social communities, and add a badge. Let's say if the discussion initiates a discussion equal to criteria 5, gamification count. Or you can say if the discussion likes is equals to 25 likes, then you give them 10 points. You give them different badges. Or if the replying to a blog post is equals to 35 replies, then you give them a blog post. So there are different data points that you can use inbuilt really reward them on different badges on social as well. And of course, level up, and you actually go up, and you actually even add different levels. For example, if the level name is Bravo Tango, and you have a level criteria is level 4, and you have a level message. So you basically add a different level based on the criteria. So if you accumulate 180 points, you are a professional. If you accumulate 257 and 300, you are a pinnacle. You're on the top. And then the leaderboards, you can actually either use dense ranking or standard ranking and have available filters for job, title, location, and peers. So pretty powerful in the way how you look at gamification. And I would now like to just get into showing you a little bit on the best practice side, and we'll get into our next session. So what's needed for gamification to succeed? Employee consent is needed. So important. Employee must recognize that the game is being played. That is, pay attention to the game, understand the rules, and see the game is fair. They need to see that it's having high integrity. Available of meaningful rewards. You'll get a table fan if you just finish this particular thing. That doesn't really make sense. I mean, who would need a table fan? So it's about meaningful rewards. In order for employees to participate in gamification, the rewards provided must be meaningful. For example, they need to actually have they need to go, they are giving a dinner with their spouse, or they are actually giving something more meaningful like a vacation. Provision of clear rules. Any confusion about the rules of the game will cause employees to disengage. If the rules are way too complex, if you require them to really do something out of the way on weekends or something really complex in order to really achieve that, and you don't want to keep it easy, that itself is also a big demotivator. So be very clear and strike the right balance. Full commitment of management. Management should not think of it as a shiny toy, number one. They must be committed to the change and be willing to put in the time to advance it in order for it to succeed. The practical tips for driving intended behavior: create a bullet list of things you want to incent. Map behaviors to badges. Yes, map behaviors to badges. Give them badges on behaviors. Community examples: what problems they solve, what questions answered, number of contributions, popularity of contributions, like how many likes they got, organization of content, and influence. Perfect. So I would like to now stop and get into some questions and details. Any questions? Over to you.
Thank you, Faraz, for your great insights. So we would now be moving to the questions from our attendees. So the first question that we have is Ashish asking us, do organizations have a clear-cut BYOD policy? Because this is going to impact in long run to have a better employee engagement while in gamification. So what do you
think? Whether it is bring your own device is something which is very integral to an organization's own policy or security. So for example, many pharma companies will not have BYOD. They feel that it's very difficult to use a mobile device management to ensure that. But I think employee engagement and gamification, I do understand where you're coming from when you say BYOD, because in your own app, in your own device, you're able to actually download that app and use it wherever and wherever you want. But I think more and more organizations are realizing how important it is to still have a balance in security, but also provide a good BYOD policy, because it definitely is actually a big game changer in employee engagement. So I think having a BYOD policy will definitely help, but it also has to strike a balance with the IT department so that they can actually provide a good proposal on it. I hope that answers.
Okay, all right. So moving to the next question. How can we use gamification for an interactive learning in an organization? So if there is like an interactive learning opportunity in the organization, how can gamification be one of the differentiating factors?
Well, I think interactive learning could be a role play game, or any kind of VR tool which is very interactive. So or even you can actually link to a learning games where people are actually. I mean, there are some games like Peak or something which are integrated with learning management systems. So you can actually provide them some brain games, and these interactive games can also, as people complete, they should be able to talk to a particular organization's learning management system and provide them the right data so that organizations can actually record those completion status or those scores and use them to complete, add them into levels and use gamification in that sense. So any learning, irrespective whether it's interactive, non-interactive, should be able to send some completion status, some points, and then we'll be able to use that for gamification.
Okay, all right. So I'm taking this question ahead. If there is any case study that you would want to share with us, for us, like a short case study or any practical implementation.
Well, I think we have actually shared few case studies here, but more importantly, something which is already happening in Sum Total. I mean, for Sum Total, we are actually asked to join certain virtual sessions, and as a larger product expert team, we have the best of the best already joining in and having discussions and getting into a dialogue. The best question or who is actually asking, or because that is interactive learning. You're basically part of a virtual classroom training. You are actually a product expert who is getting into that training, and you're looking at a training video while having a discussion. So we are doing it using virtual classroom. And then using virtual classroom, when somebody asks the best question, they get rewarded. Somebody actually is more engaged based on their engagement, based on their questions, based on their comments, they are actually rewarded. I think that is one easy way of interactive learning. But the other aspect is that you could even have someone play a game, and then they can actually be given gamification points.
Okay, all right. So for us, while we have discussed a lot, and you have also shared a lot of things about gamification, if you had to, you know, uh, talk about the key pointers or key highlights about gamification for our viewers, as to summing up in like 5 points or 4 points. So how would you what would you add?
I think think like a gamer. Number one, think like a gamer when you're designing it and when you are actually interacting with it, because a gamer would not be at the same level for long, which means you need to keep rewarding them continuously. You need to get employees consent that this is the rule of the game. Explain it very upfront. Keep it very simple. Don't complicate it, and also ensure that they are rewarded at every aspect of the system, whether, as I showed you, whether it is social learning or whether it is talent or any other feedback form, or even a manager giving feedback to an employer, appreciating. So if you want to create a culture, gamification also a very good tool. So use that tool in very creative aspects. Rewarding is also driving the culture of the organization of appreciation. For example, manager appreciating an employee, give them a reward. Employee giving feedback to their manager or a trainer, give them particular reward. So I think the whole idea is to be able to think of the reward, the validity of the reward, the levels, and also keeping the journey very pleasant.
Right. We do talk about startups and mid-size companies also. So what would be your advice for these startups and small and medium enterprises?
So I think the dynamics of any small and medium enterprise is very high. So you already have your game right, by the way, because the group dynamics is so strong. You can definitely play on that. You're basically singing to the choir. People are already very close. They are a very small team. They are actually working very closely. All you need to do is reward them based on what different aspect. For example, I gave you a very simple example. Get on a WebEx, and whoever actually answers the question more or comments more, that level of engagement you need to reward. Somebody is actually, if you have a social community, like you might have created something on LinkedIn or Facebook, or a group on Facebook or a WhatsApp group, whoever is actually more engaged, you can actually reward them. Somebody who is actually posting about your company on social media, on Twitter or Facebook, you reward them. So these simple things can also be rewarded, not only just on the learning side. So you start by this, so people understand that, good. So they are actually into gamification. And then when you actually get into a sum total LMS or a talent system, so we work with all organizations, not just enterprises. We also work with SMBs. So more recently, even the products that we usually do, people are able to use this simple gamification to reward just for people completing on time. Very simple.
Right. Moving to the next question. So somebody's asking, when you spoke about considering time and attendance while gamifying, are you referring to attendance working hour or attendance of attending the training?
No, the time and attendance I was talking about is mostly to the workforce management side. This is the your time sheet of your employees. So because I was not just talking about learning, it's also about workforce management. So somebody marks attendance and is consistent on time, you actually give them a reward. So it was about time sheet and attendance management, not attending and learning.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Faraz, for your time. And with this question and answer session, we are going to wrap up today's webcast.
Thank you.
We have a few more questions coming in, which I would request for us to take offline.
Sure.
We would like to thank our today's webcast partner, Sum Total Systems, and Faraz, of course, for your invaluable information. Meanwhile, you provide your feedback in the survey link provided in the chat section because your input matters. Stay tuned for many more such exciting sessions. That concludes today's webcast. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you, Faraz.
Thank you. Bye-bye.